resume, they may not have read your resume, number one. Number two, even if they did read your resume is what I call dead at this moment. That means that it has served its purpose, it's laid down its life so that it can get you into this interview space, okay? So again, when we're thinking about diagnosing our job search, we need to figure out what's happening and what's not going well. If I'm not getting interviews, I have to go back to my resume because it's not getting me in the room. So, how does a resume get you in the room? Well, your resume is actually a response to an ad, okay? And when you think about it like that, it starts to put in perspective what sort of language or sort of tone, if you will, that your resume and cover letter package might possess. So before I get into some very specific tips, which I will, I want you to know, I want you to sort of think about and maybe even appreciate the perspective that what you're writing is a response to something. Okay. Now, if you're reading my request, which is a job posting, right? And you're looking and you're thinking about on your resume what to put on your resume in response to that, well, the truth is you've already got the answers. It's in the job posting. If you ever have any question about what to talk to an employer about on a resume or in an interview, you go back to that job posting. It's literally your answers to the test. Now, of course, you'll add some things like maybe in terms of your style of writing, a little personality or interest. But in general, what you're looking for is an opportunity to be able to check off those boxes. They've listed out what they're looking for in a candidate. What you need to do is confirm that you have it. And so now, with that perspective, we take a look at the resume. Okay. So, two kinds of resumes to consider. Some of you may know this. There are the chronological and functional resumes. Those are the two sort of main style of resumes. Chronological is just like it sounds, it goes on a timeline. However, it goes from your most recent work backwards. Okay. Generally speaking, you don't need much more than maybe 8 to 10, maybe 15 years of history on your job, on your resume. 10 years is perfectly fine. If you have been with one employer for 10 or more years, it's likely that your role has changed. Even if your title has stayed the same, there have been changes in your role that can actually fill up a resume, whether within that time period you used a new software or computer system, or there was some new processes that implemented that changed the way you did your work. There's a great story to tell, even if you've been with the same employer for an extended period of time. So anyway, that chronological resume is going to go back about 10 years, and it's going to go backward from present day back. So we're talking 2010 to 2012 would be your target in terms of how much time you want to share on your resume. Then we've got a functional document. Now, functional resumes operate a little different. Instead of talking about the timeline, they're going to talk about skill. They're going to talk about what you're able to do as opposed to focusing on where you did it and how long you did it, like a chronological resume would. Okay. So this is usually broken up into skill sets. All right. And these skill sets speak to the job that you're applying to. The great benefit of a functional resume is that you can pull skill from anywhere. In other words, you don't have to list skill associated with a certain job. You can pull skill from any, if you have an office management skill and you use it at several different jobs, then you can put that under office management instead of listing out several different skills. And so those functional resumes can really help folks, especially those of you who are transitioning from one career to another. Maybe you are looking at entering into a new field and you've been working or spending some time in your career in some other area and you want to transition. What you want to do is be able to highlight what you can do, as opposed to the fact that maybe for the last few years you've been working in another industry outside of your intended career path. Okay. So those are the two types of resumes to consider. They both have the same 5 components, which is the header where your contact information is. Remember, you can just use city and state. You don't have to put a full street address there. Okay. You need to put a career goal. Some people use an objective. I'm going to tell you this right now, high level tip. Okay. It might be sound simple, but no objective statements. Okay. Seeking a position where I can utilize my skills in XYZ to do ABC. Thing of the past, let it go. Let's just call out the job title. If I'm applying to be a senior sales manager, sales trainer, I'm going to say sales trainer or sales manager as my objective, and it's just going to be listed at the top. I'm going to describe myself as what I'm looking for. Okay, forget about the statements with objectives. Now you can do a summary statement, which is the third component that you might be interested in on a resume. And a summary statement is going to sum up who you are as a professional right now. Okay, so think about it like this. Summaries go from the past up to present day. Objectives go from present day into the future. Okay, so they really aren't the same thing. And people might get confused with that and tell you they are, but they really aren't. An objective is what you want to be moving forward. A summary statement is what you've done up until this point. Okay. And other than that, you have education and, of course, your employment experience that you're going to list out on your resume. So being thoughtful and being prepared by responding to that posting is something that is going to get you considered as a potential candidate for an opening. Okay. Now, in these next last few minutes that I have with you, I want to quickly pivot to interviews because I know that people get in that room and sometimes have no idea what's happening or what to do. You have to know this. And again, let's start with perspective and then we'll share a tip or two. Okay. When a company has an opening, that company is potentially, okay, in crisis. What that means is that either everybody is doing that work until the position is filled, or that work has stopped until the position is filled. So you have to know that when an employer is interviewing, their goal is to actually fill a position. Their goal is to hire someone, okay? What you want to do is you want to confirm that they made the right choice in picking you to meet with them. Okay. You don't want to be trying to convince anybody of anything. I'm not going to convince you of anything. I don't want anybody trying to convince me of anything. What I want to do is feel assured that I picked the right person to solve this issue of an opening at my company or organization. Okay. So the thing to consider here is, how do I make sure that the employer feels comfortable moving forward with me? And that is by confirming that you're the right one. Okay. Remember, we're going to go back to that job posting. Don't just be what's called shotgunning your resume, meaning you're applying to several different jobs and you have no idea what you're applying for. Then you get the call for an interview and you have no idea how to prepare because you don't have the posting. What we're going to do is we're going to be smart and prepared. Okay. And so we are going to review that posting, get familiar with the language of what this employer is looking for, what they're asking for, and then we're going to answer those questions so that we can help them reassure them that they have chosen the right person. Okay, so remember, we're confirming, not convincing. All right, so with that said, let's talk through a couple tips. So some quick do's. Obviously, I want you to arrive strategically, and I say I because I am giving you this advice today. It's so important that you get there on time, and on time is about 10 minutes early. 10 minutes early is on time is late. Late is why did you come? Okay. And also, I want you to anticipate some of the things they might ask you. Granted, you may not know everything that they're going to ask you. You know, you don't, you may not be able to predict that, but when you're going into an interview, there's some things that you should just be prepared to answer. Okay. And so with that, it could be questions about yourself and your own professional background. It can be questions about how you work well with others. It could be questions about how you solve problems, how you're able to change direction at a moment's notice. It could be a ton of things that you can think about ahead of time so that you can convey to this employer that they are the one, that you are the one that they need. Last quick tip here, last one other thing, rather, I should say, I want to mention is be careful not to focus on money and benefits too soon. Okay. And I know that's that's a tough pill to swallow, right? How can I really want to know what I'm going to be paid. I want to be careful there. Okay. Now, this is obviously for jobs that you have an opportunity to negotiate salary for. When an employer has set a salary, it's 25 bucks an hour, take it or leave it, then that's what it is. But when there's a range, you actually want to be patient and you want to hold them off. And the reason is, and here again, high level tip, okay? The best way to negotiate salary or to create an environment where salary will be negotiable is to sell value. Okay. Salary negotiation, or the ability and opportunity to go negotiate salary, comes from value. What does that mean? That means that if you don't establish value, then you appear to be any other candidate, okay? If there are 10 people who interview for the job, it stands to reason all of you have the same skill set. Why would I pay one more than the other, right? If I'm going to look for a car, why would I pay $3,000 more here when I can get the same car to do the same thing I need there? Well, there might be different value that comes with that car, or different value that comes with you. So in order to establish value, you actually need to have a deeper conversation before you start to talk about money. If someone is pressing you, in other words, they're saying, we really need to know what your salary range is before we even move forward, I recommend staying in a range. In other words, don't get specific until you've had at least one interview or some considerable conversation, because you need time to establish value so that your salary can be, so that you can have good footing as it relates to your salary. Okay. And I think I might be at time. How am I doing, Roosevelt, Brittany?
You're perfect. I say you get about 2 more minutes, and then we'll go into a Q&A.
Okay, sounds good. Um, okay, a couple more minutes here. So I want to tell you that you need to ask some questions too. Okay. Questions show interest. If you've ever, you almost think of an interview like a blind date, if anybody's ever experienced that. Can you imagine if you were on a blind date, you just met someone and you're asking questions to them and they're answering them and they never ask you anything? You'd probably think they weren't very interested in you. That's exactly what happens in an interview when people don't ask questions. Okay. So some of you probably know, well, I do need to ask something. I don't know what to ask. Ask questions about the day-to-day work. Ask what the goals are for the next 30, 60, or 90 days. You can ask them questions about what the immediate priorities of this position. In other words, what should I know like the back of my hand within the first 10 to 15 days working here? What's going to make me successful in that way? One question that I absolutely think you should ask is either what's the next step in the process, or how soon will you be making a decision? Okay. Now you can choose one or both of those questions and you can word them however you want. Just, keep it professional there. Don't say, are you going to hire me? But the reason why I think you should ask those questions is because you never really want to leave that room not knowing what their next move is going to be. Okay. You need to know that. You need to know that they've got 2 weeks worth of interviews happening, or if they're going to make a decision this afternoon. Okay, so that way, if you plan on sending any thank you correspondence, a thank you letter, a thank you card, a thank you email, fax, whatever you might do, that you have the opportunity to get it to them before the decision is made. Okay, and so having a sense of what their processes are or what next steps they'll be considering after they meet with you will be always something that can benefit you. Okay. And last tip I'll give is the typical job interview questions. I get a lot of questions about how to answer what is your greatest weakness. Your greatest weakness is not something that is, um, you want to be careful here and not get too sort of, I'll give you an example. Uh, I'm a perfectionist, or something that, in other words, something that isn't really a weakness to an employer. If someone wants to do something perfect every time and you're paying them, that's not really a weakness. So what you want to do, I want you to consider something that really is challenging to you. Employers ask these questions, they don't really care about the weakness. What they want to know is, whatever this weakness is, can you manage it so it doesn't become my new weakness when I bring you on? Okay, so maybe if you think about it, you have struggled in the past with time and either dedicating too much time to a task or making sure you leave enough time to complete a task. And so you can describe that as, you might spend much more time on a task than what may be needed. Instead of saying I'm a perfectionist, say I spend time on things because I want them to be right. What I've done to make sure that I don't spend too much time on things is I set a timer for myself. And when that timer goes off, that signals to my mind that I need to move on to the next task so I stay productive. So you see, in that moment, we quickly addressed the weakness, but the bulk of that answer was about how I manage the weakness so that it doesn't become my employer's new weakness when they are considering hiring me. So just a few tips there. I wish you all incredible success in your job seeking experience. And if I can be helpful in any way, give me a shout.
Yes, that was amazing content, TJ. And just let you know, can you please put your handles into the comment box, and also for 30 seconds, please verbally share how we could contact you, people that may be watching on LinkedIn, Facebook, and Instagram.
Absolutely. My email address is actually my first and last name. So it's terrancebowens@gmail.com. You can also find me on LinkedIn under the same name, Terrance J. Bowens, I believe. Um, and those are great ways to connect with me. I'm also available by text message if anyone want some quick advice or some resume consultations. I do professionally write resumes, so we can talk about what you might need and any rate associated with that. I also am an interview coach, and so I can get you ready for interviews. I am very kind as it relates to uh, uh, pricing or whatever. I don't necessarily believe in that's not something I'll say here. But
All right.
I want people to what I want is for people to access what you need, and I don't want any price to stop you from doing that. So reach out, talk to me, we'll figure it out and we'll get it done. I want you to be successful and I want to get you where you're going. So LinkedIn, Terrance Bowens, terrancebowens@gmail.com. It's in the chat for those listening. You can use that as well. And give me a shout.
Perfect. And you could also check in and become a young Black in the Business member, and we'll get you tapped into Terrance Bowens. He has helped
Absolutely.
a lot of our members already, and that's why we had to have him on here. So, young Black in the Business membership just has its benefits. So just to let you know, in conclusion, for like the last minute and a half here, our next event is going to be this Saturday at the Skyline Branch Library. We're going to release our next manuscript that we have, where we're inviting and engaging, young minds in general, to get into career mode. We have a connection with the San Diego Building Trades. They have approximately, precise 21 different trades, from pipe fitters, carpenters, welders, electricians. So we're using our connections with the trades to connect our peers to get in career mode. So our next event will be this Saturday, 12 to 2 at the Skyline Branch Library, where we'll be releasing our next manuscript, International Brotherhood of Electrical Workers. So you don't want to miss that. Skyline Branch Library from 12 to 2. And just to let you know, we're going to keep going. Get excited. Join ybnb.com is the landing page. Check us out. We'll connect you with Terrance Bowens. We can definitely get you to the next level. In conclusion, keep your head up and your eyes open, and join our eclectic network. We'll see you on Friday, May 13th at 7 a.m. Dion Westbrook will be our guest speaker. He's a realtor. Thank you very much.
Okay, the live stream is officially over. Thank you everyone for showing up for Fortune 500 Fridays. We look forward to seeing you tomorrow at the San Diego Building Trades Career Fair.
Thank you.